I'm here today with Harry and Karen, and you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm very appreciative that we were able to sit down and talk to one another today. I've heard God has done some really amazing things here in your life recently, and I would love if you would just share with me what's going on.
Sure, love to. We were on a vacation for the week. It was our 33rd wedding anniversary, and she wanted to offer to say, hey, why don't we go see your family during that time period to, be family and do stuff.
Yeah.
So we hadn't done that in a while, so that's what we did.
Awesome.
And in that, we had evangelism training here at church. And we're part of the As We Go Sunday School class with George Henry. And George as always says, share as you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had a time period where there was a stop moment where I shared our evangelism training that we have here, which is called 3 Circles. And I shared it with her family.
Now, how long had it been since you've seen your family?
We usually go every September to see them.
So not too long.
A year.
It's kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, the anniversary week was a surprise for them.
Oh, okay. Nice. So, as you've went through the training, like you said, and you're sharing the gospel and your testimony, how do you think that went?
Well, I went into another room because another family member wanted to talk to me. So as he's sharing in the living room with everybody, we were praying that God would clear their minds and open their hearts to be receptive to what he was talking about.
Now, is this something that you guys have tried to discuss with your family before, and maybe they weren't so receptive, or?
Well, definitely been praying. It's kind of in the training, it talks about using a map, if you will, of concentric circles of who you're going to closely in. So you start with yourself, then your spouse, and then it grows from there. So we had moved into her family, and I thought, what a better time to share. So we did. It went well, and I finished, and we went outside to pack the car, and she and I were standing at the trunk, and her brother came out and said, we need to talk. And I went, about what?
Yeah.
And what's the story from there?
He sat on the tailgate and said, my life, and then he paused, and then he said, I think I'm lost.
Oh, wow.
And then he said, when Dad died, I ran from God. I was mad at him because he took Dad. And he said, I did a lot of awful things in my life. How do I get from where I'm at to where you are? And I said, well, I know you don't know this, but I felt the same way. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I ran, I was upset, and I tried to fill that void in my life with things that I shouldn't have been trying to fill him with, that nothing could fill that void but God.
Yeah.
And he goes, I want to be there.
Wow.
What do I got to do? So before I could even get stuff stated to him, he went down on his knees, and we prayed, and he asked the Lord into his heart.
Oh my goodness. And what were you feeling in that moment?
Very emotional, because when the day my dad died, he told me I was the one. He goes, I know you're not going to understand this, but don't give up on your brother. Don't give up on your sister.
Wow.
So as we're praying this, I kind of knew what he was talking about. But the day he died, he told me that he would give his life if that's what it took to get us all saved and then into heaven. And so we talked about that, and we cried some more.
Yeah.
But he kept hugging me and telling me thank you. And then he sat down and he said, I've never felt this peace before.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it was overwhelming for everybody. And so you're witnessing this, right? What were you going through? What were you feeling?
He was crying.
I was floating. I didn't even feel the ground I was standing on. I was just super thankful. And I was just going, it happened. It just happened.
Yeah.
So the encouragement is, especially around the holidays, we're together as a family.
Yep.
Don't waste the opportunity to share the gospel with your family.
Absolutely.
Because you never know
Right.
what God's going to do with your testimony and what's needed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tag team, so.
Yeah.
We've got a younger sister, Lisa. She has a younger sister, Lisa, that I just texted several people that have been praying about this. I said, she's next.
She's next. And so with the evangelism training, I mean, that really made a difference. Would you say it made a difference in
Oh, heavens, yes.
how you would approach the situation before versus now?
Yes, definitely, because it's so easy to share where it's not on you. You're presenting an idea, and in that idea is the gospel using.
And could you share a little bit with us of what exactly you said that, you know, made him come to his sister and you know, cry and say, I want that peace in my life?
Sure. The one takeaway that I remember at the end was he just exhaled and said, you know, I've been dealing with this since I was 11 years old because I walked an aisle because Daddy was a deacon in the church and I didn't want to embarrass him. What do I do? And I said, it's easy. Let me read to you Romans 10:9 and 10.
Okay.
And I read that to him, and he was like, okay, I understand that, but what do I do? And that's when she stepped up and says,
Wow.
let me just lead you through the sinner's prayer. Is that okay, bro? And he goes, yeah, do. He went down on his knees, and I was just like,
Wow.
so I took a knee with him and just kind of, hey, there. And she just, as her daddy did as him being a deacon from times past, it was just really sweet.
I would encourage people to never give up.
Yeah.
That was 40 years of prayer. I would never give up praying for your family.
And
Because
you know,
God answers prayers.
sure.
And on our anniversary day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like,
So
oh, this is going to be so easy to remember now.
He joked with him
To
and said,
add
hey,
to it.
Harry, you can't top that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was just like, wow, it was really, really beautiful. And it was so sweet because afterwards we you know, he got his composure together and he
Yeah.
went back into his house of all girls and sat down in the living room and we finished packing the car and was like, can you believe what I was
Wow.
just over elated. And then I walked back in the house and I said, hey, well, we're all packed up. Mike, would you like to share with your children and your grandchildren what you just did? And all the girls just turned and looked at him like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And he shared his testimony right there in front of them. We're like,
Wow. What an incredible story.
yeah, it was amazing.
That's amazing. And, you know, how fortunate were you both to be together and experience that at the same time? And I certainly appreciate you both joining me here today and sharing that. You know, that's definitely going to touch, you know, somebody's heart that's watching this and doesn't really know where to start to have that type of conversation.
And the one thing I wanted to do was to make sure that they understood that don't waste the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're usually together as a family.
Right. Perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a vacation or an anniversary or
Right.
whatever, you know.
Yes.
So.
Well, thank you both for coming here today and speaking with me.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.